Hello, and welcome back to Rebuilding to Scratch. Now, if you're new to this channel, this is where I'm documenting my recovery from injuries and multiple joint replacements, along with the process of rebuilding my golf game to play scratch golf again. Now, remember, I'm giving myself 9 months to achieve that goal. Now, most recently, I had my left hip replaced. And 15 months prior to that, it was my left knee. And then before that, it was my right knee. I still have a broken back at L4 and L5, which nothing can be done about. And I have a replaced disc at C5 and C6 in my neck. Now, it's been just over 9 weeks since my hip replacement. And as I promised in my first video, complete transparency about this process, well, I'm sad to report that I've suffered a setback to my recovery. A few weeks ago, while at physical therapy, I felt a pop in my left hip and it hurt pretty good. So I went to see my surgeon a few days later, took some x-rays, and thankfully, the x-rays showed that there was no damage to the hip implant. However, there's a pretty significant soft tissue industry injury that's really affected my ability to move. I mean, anybody who's had a growing injury in the past can tell you that these things are pretty painful and they really limit your ability to walk or even sit and stand up. I mean, it's been 3 weeks. I haven't really done anything. So, complete transparency and upfront about where I'm at in this process. Um, that's the frustrating part of recovery. But this series is about moving on from everything that has affected my ability to play golf. And I really appreciate you tuning in for it. Okay, prior to the egos video that I made prior to this, I started talking about the fundamentals of the golf swing. Now remember, these fundamentals, they're not skills. They're fundamentals to get us in the proper positions to learn the skill of scoring lower on the golf course. Oh no, he's going to start talking about the grip again. Well, if I had my way about it, I would spend an hour on the grip, but I'm not going to put you through that. But the grip is really the first fundamental of the golf swing. Now, I encourage everyone to spend some time every day to practice a perfect grip because the grip is our only connection to the golf club. And it's like the steering wheel on your car. You want a good grip on your steering wheel to be able to drive well. Well, the grip on our golf club is no different. A proper and fundamentally sound grip allows us to control the face during the chaos of the golf swing and steer our ball the direction that we intend. Now, I'm going to prove to you just how important having your grip fundamentally sound is to controlling the face of that club. And remember, I described previously the three main grips that golfers use. They are, the interlocking grip where the pinky of the trail hand interlocks with the index finger of the lead hand. You have the overlap, or we used to call it the Barden grip, where the pinky finger rests in the crease of the forefinger and the middle finger of the lead hand. And then you have the baseball grip or the 10-finger grip. Well, there's some common denominators amongst all three of those that make them fundamentally sound. And I'm going to show you some of the deviations about it too that make them unsound. But for any of these grips, they're all accepted grips, and you can play good golf with any of them. Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods use the interlocking grip. A lot of people use the overlap grip, and it's primarily the one I've played with. And the 10-finger grip is less popular, but it's completely valid. So what are the common denominators? Number one, the club needs to fit in the fingers of our hand. And on our lead hand, it's the middle joint of the first finger and the last joint of the little finger, and that's where the club is going to rest. and then we fold our hand over top where the heel is over the top of the shaft. And if we release those three fingers and we hold our club just like that, I can, if I pull hard enough, of course, I could pull it right out. But there's a pretty secure um, connection to that golf club. Now I wrap my fingers back around. What do we do with our trail hand? Well, see my lifeline here and see how my um, lead hand thumb rests on the side of the. This is really important that once you get the grip in your left hand, that this thumb point on a clock face, it points to 1 o'clock. If you anywhere in there, 12:30, 1 o'clock, anywhere there's fine. There's some, leeway depending on the size of your hand and what's more comfortable for you. But it doesn't need to be on top of the club. It needs to be coming down at about a 1 o'clock. Now we come around with our trail hand, and our lifeline is going to fit right on top of our lead hand thumb. And once again, middle joint of the forefinger, last joint of the pinky finger, this is where the club is going to rest. And this time, the trail thumb is pointing to 11 o'clock on the clock face. This is a proper grip. This is fundamentally sound grip because it allows you to hinge properly and naturally. So I'm not even using my arms. I'm just using my wrist to hinge up and down. If I did something different than a fundamentally sound grip, let's say I came in underneath, which is what a lot of people do. They come in underneath with that lead hand too much. They come on top with the trail hand. Look at that. I have a lot less range of motion. And then when you do this, this promotes that the other way to hinge your wrist, which you don't want to do in the golf swing, is to side to side. This is what promotes flipping, and you'll top the ball, you'll hit fat shots if you do like this. But if we make a good grip, and it doesn't matter which one, I'm demonstrating the 10-finger grip here, of course, but it works perfectly well for the overlapping grip or the interlocking grip. With this, our wrist will hinge naturally in the backswing, and they'll come straight down and they'll unhinge and bring in that club face back at impact. Now, I want to show you something. When we have our grip, take your trail hand and just run without twisting it. Go right up to the shaft, right up to the club head, and see where that club face is. My palm of my hand is matching the club face. So that tells you right there how important it is to have the grip in the proper position to control that club face at impact. You can do the same thing with the left hand without twisting. You got your grip, just move it straight up, and you'll see that the palm of my hand fits right on the club face. And that tells me that if I am hinging and unhinging properly, that club face is going to be square at impact. So I hope I've convinced you how important the grip is. Okay, so fundamental number one is the grip, and that's all I'm going to subject you to as far as that goes, because that information is everywhere out there. But I wanted to cover it for you. The second fundamental I want to cover today is going to be our stance and our posture. Now, I'm really focused on building a good stance with good posture and balanced. Okay. But first, I'm going to show you what a lot of people do wrong. Okay. And especially older golfers. They will like to come in and they'll place their club down behind the ball, squared up behind the ball, which is really a bad idea anyway, because as the rules of golf dictate, the minute you ground your club behind the ball, you are considered to have addressed the ball. So you don't want to do that. But anyway, this is what they do. They put that club face behind the ball. Then they'll take a stance, get their grip, and you can see what's happened here. Their their shoulders, top of their back shoulders are rounded over, creating less distance between their chin and their um, chest bone. They've also flexed their knees way too much, and it's caused their butt to stick out, and which puts them on their heels too much. Okay. Now they may feel pretty good about all that, but this is not a good way to swing a golf club because it restricts your shoulder turn, and with your butt sticking out too far and back on your heels and your knees bent too much in particular, this restricts your hip turn. So we're not getting a good turn. And the good turn is essential for the golf swing. So that's what a lot of people do and how they get it wrong. Here's how I do it. And you'll hear this from me a lot. And I like to stand tall, good posture, straight up and down. And I take my grip and I hold it out in front of me, straight arms, and I lower my arms until my biceps touch the outside of my chest muscle. Okay. From there, I bend at the hip, not the waist. I bend at the hip and let my knees flex naturally. And I'm the correct, depending on which club I've got, this puts me in the correct position. Now, if I was back here and I did it and I'm too far away from the ball, I'm not going to reach up for that ball. I'm just going to move into the ball. So once we get the proper distance and we've got our back straight, when we do this, when we bend from the hips, we keep our back straight. See, there's a huge difference between this and this. So I'm up here, now I've got a lot of distance in here to be able to swing and turn. And keep that, keep a nice natural flex in our knees. That this happens naturally when you bend from the hips. It happens naturally. So this here is where I come in, and then I'll take my stance, depending on which club I want. From driver, of course, it's going to be wider. Pitching wedge is going to be narrower. This is a 5-iron, so we're somewhere in between. Now, this is where I want to be nice and balanced. And my balance point is going to be, and this is for most people, is going to be just the back part of the ball of the foot right before the middle of the foot starts. So that's where you want to be. So you want to picture, if you will, so this being March Madness type of time of year, the somebody guarding the basketball in the backcourt. They're not going to be on their toes because they'll lose their balance. They won't be on their heels because they can't shift. Now, I still got a little bit of an injury, so I'm not going to be able to do too much. But if I'm nice and balanced, then I can move. And this is how you want to be. Just picture that. Also, you can picture a goalie defending a penalty shot in soccer. He's going to be on the balls of his feet, not on his toes, not on his heels. He's going to be nice and balanced. That way he can move. So we're nice and balanced. We got the proper distance for the club that we have. We have enough room that we can turn. Our hips are free to move. Leads us into our third fundamental. This is the last fundamental I'm going to cover today. And it's the fundamental that sets us up to really put a good swing on the golf club. Okay, and that is the takeaway. Now, I consider the takeaway a fundamental and not a skill. I don't think the fundamental of the takeaway is part of the golf swing. It's not really part of the backswing. It's just something that sets you up to turn into it. And a proper takeaway involves keeping that club face the same angle as your spine and outside your hands. So if I start my backswing with my shoulders and my forearms, come back here, that first 3 to 3.5, maybe 4 feet, that is your takeaway. From here, it does not matter what happens because from the takeaway to back here, that's going to be dependent on you and your swing profile. It's something that's unique to you. And there's a myriad of ways you can go from here to here, but that's up to you. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time on that when we get into the full swing. So, the first fundamental, we got our good grip. Second fundamental is a proper and balanced stance, the correct distance from the golf ball. And the third fundamental is our takeaway. Okay, so there are as many ways to go from setup to the top of the backswing, back down to impact and follow through as there are dimples on the golf ball. Now, Albert Einstein is credited with saying that things should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. Now, that little statement stands in stark contrast to the current state of golf instruction right now. Now, see, the golf industry, especially the golf instruction industry, is obsessed with the mechanics of the golf swing. Now, some theories have us going through 10 different positions, and then there's a myriad of swing thoughts that instructors put in students' heads. Now, and this is for an action that takes 2 seconds start to finish. So, in all the sports, there may be nothing to compare to the way that the golf swing has been studied. The technology, we know more about the golf swing than ever before, but guess what? Golfers of all types, whether they're pro, all the way to weekend players, have not gotten better in 30 years. And this is with better equipment and better technology and the proliferation of online instruction. Think about that. We haven't gotten better in 30 years despite all the advances. Now, I know golfers want to get better, but they just seem to chase the latest tip on YouTube only to end up more confused than ever. So, we're going to do something a little different here at Rebuilding to Scratch. Instead of fitting into some swing program, we're going to take our swings. You know, that swing, when we've all had it, when we've been on the course and we made that shot, it was so pure and so natural, and we have no idea how we did it. Yeah, that swing, the one that keeps you coming back all the time to try to get that feeling again. Well, that swing resides in your long term memory. So we're going to take our natural swing, the one that you've been playing with all your life. You've learned how to swing the golf club. You know what it takes. You know these positions. You know these movements. And we're all different, but we all have a swing profile that's unique to each of us. And we're going to take our natural swing and we're going to teach our brain to recall from our long term memory and how to get it from the top of the backswing back down to impact, and we're going to have to follow through. Now, we're going to do this in a way that is totally consistent with the latest science on learning how to swing a golf club. Okay. Um, just as we know a lot about the mechanics of the golf swing, we also have a lot of knowledge now about how we actually learn athletic movement. Now, here's the secret, it's not by teaching the mechanics. In fact, that turns out to be the worst and the least effective way to learn a new skill. Now, here at the Rancho Tortuga Golf Performance and Rehab Center, I'm going to be employing methods that are going to give us constructive feedback. And we're going to simplify the golf swing, and our brains are going to love us for it. Now, just like egos in a previous video, the expert green reading operating system is based on proven science on how to properly read a green. Well, I'm going to be using proven science, mostly the science of the brain, the neurology and neuroscience, and how the motor cortex gets our muscles moving properly. Now, I'm going to try to present this in a way that makes sense to me. Now, hopefully, I don't make it too simple that you don't appreciate what I'm trying to relate to you, but I really encourage you to stick with me here because what I'm trying to do with this particular video is set us up for everything that follows. Because I am going to be able to swing this golf club here pretty soon. I'm walking better, things are feeling pretty good. So, this natural feeling where you cannot explain what you did when you hit that pure shot, we're going to recall that. And we're going to teach ourselves how to do that over and over again. And it's not by thinking about the movements. We're going to make an external focus. We're going to either be thinking about the golf ball, how we want it to start out. So, once again, I'm going to present it in a language that I understand, and hopefully it makes sense to you. Okay, so I think we've covered quite a lot in this installment of Rebuilding to Scratch, and we may have gone quite a bit long. But please keep tuning in because it's just starting to get interesting. Like, subscribe, share this channel. It would mean a great deal to me. Leave a comment or ask a question, and I will respond. I really want us to start thinking better about getting better. Now, I believe I can deliver some valuable content to get us to score lower on the golf course. With the latest setback to my recovery, it might be just a little while longer before I'm actually able to swing away again. But regardless, I'm going to start rebuilding my game by developing skills on and around the green. Now, I believe I can manage that while I heal, but I'm going to demonstrate putting, chipping, and pitching and a simple way to develop striking skills that help us save strokes around the green. This is what has allowed me to remain a single digit handicap when the long part of my game was really affected by my injuries. So I hope you can join me again on the next installment of Rebuilding to Scratch.